We all know the story. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Europe discovered the New World, and history was written by the victors. But history is fragile. What if the ships never returned? What if the discoverer became the discovered? The wind did not bring civilization. It brought a storm of blood and obsidian, of vengeance waiting for 1,000 years. Forget the history books. The timeline has shattered. The fifth sun is rising over Europe. Welcome to the Sunset Invasion. This is London, 1890. But look closely at the skyline. The Big Ben is gone. In its place stands the Great Obsidian Pyramid. The smoke rising above the city is not from coal factories. It is incense burning for the sun god. Now look at the streets. The people still wear Victorian suits, but look at their faces. They are marked with tribal tattoos. They walk in silence, subjects of a new, bloody empire. The Thames is no longer a river of free trade. It is a military vein. Jaguar warriors patrol London Bridge day and night, while iron serpents guard the waters against rebellion. Even the nobility has broken. Look at him, an English lord, forced to wear the feathers of his conquerors. He sits in silence, a prisoner of fashion in his own home. And the symbols of the old world? They lie rotting in the mud. The queen is forgotten. The sword of the sun god has cut the throat of the monarchy. The infection didn't stop in the jungle. Like spilled blood, the empire spread north, then south, and finally it turned its gaze east towards the Atlantic. Historians do not call this a war. They call it the end of an era, the Sunset Invasion. 1,000 black ships riding the hurricane winds. They are not coming to trade. They are coming to turn off the lights of the old world. To understand the end, we must return to the beginning. The year 1000 AD. A Viking longship, lost in a storm, crashes on the white sands of Mexico. The crew died on this beach, but they left something behind. A sword of steel, rusting in the sun, waiting to be found. When the Aztec scouts pushed through the jungle leaves, they didn't just find a wreck, they found the future. They took the Vikings' metal, they melted it down. For 500 years, while Europe slept in the mud, the Aztec Empire turned the jungle into a burning forge. Obsidian breaks, but this does not break. They forged a new destiny in steel, razor sharp, unstoppable. But their deadliest weapon was alive. 2 horses found in the wreckage. They didn't eat them, they bred them. They multiplied them into a legion of monsters. Look at them. This is not a tribe hiding in the trees. This is a legion. Thousands of Jaguar warriors, clad in plate armor, waiting for the command to conquer the world. And behold their capital, Tenochtitlan. The jungle became a machine. Pyramids turned into factories, blocking out the sun with the smoke of industry. The Venice of the New World, reborn in iron. Deep inside the temples, the old prayers are silenced. Now only the sound of grinding gears and hissing pistons remains. The timeline has been rewritten by the engineer. Steel was not enough. They harnessed the breath of the volcano, the fire stick, a weapon that spews liquid death, turning nights into candles. Look at the harbor of Veracruz. It is not a trade port anymore. It is a mouth opening to swallow the ocean. Supplies for 1 million men, a floating bridge of death aimed at Europe. But before the sails rise, the blood must flow. The high priest consults the smoke, and the smoke whispers only one word: conquest. The emperor does not look at the horizon with fear. He looks with hunger. One command, one destiny: to bring the sun to the land of shadows. The anchors were lifted. 1,000 ships sailed not towards the dawn, but into the sunset. The Atlantic Ocean was no longer a barrier. It was a highway. Spain, 1492. The morning was quiet. The church bells were sleeping, until the blue sky turned black. The invasion had arrived. The nets were dropped. The prayers turned to screams. They ran towards the city, but terror runs faster than men. The bells of Christendom rang out, not for Mass, but for the end of days, ringing until the rope snapped. Too late, the Jaguar knights hit the sand like a tidal wave. They didn't bring trade, they brought slaughter. Spanish steel, pierced like paper. The rain falls on the fallen, but it cannot wash away the defeat. The myth of European invincibility died in the mud. They didn't just capture the forts, they burned the history. Every village became a funeral pyre, lighting up the night with the flames of extinction. Look into his eyes. That is not just fear, it is the reflection of hell. He watches his world burn and realizes that his God cannot save him. France answered the call. The greatest army in Christendom gathered on the muddy fields of Agincourt. 20,000 knights, a wall of blue and steel stretching to the horizon. They charged with the fury of God. The ground shook under their hooves. They lowered their lances, screaming for glory, expecting the savages to run. But the Aztecs did not run. They raised their fire sticks. Thunder cracked across the field. Not arrows, but lead and fire. The charge was shattered. The lines broke. The formation shattered. It wasn't a battle anymore. It was a hunt. The smoke of gunpowder mixed with the screams of the dying. Look closely at the mud. That is where the age of chivalry died, suffocated in the dirt. Their expensive armor became their heavy metal coffins. And the symbol of the king, the fleur-de-lis, torn down, held in the hand of a jaguar. France has fallen. Europe is open. The sun set on a graveyard. 20,000 men gone. No prisoners were taken. The only sound left was the wind and the feast of the crows. When night fell, the drums began. Boom, boom, boom. The battlefield was not cleaned. It was consecrated. The blood of Europe fed the roots of the sun tree. They unleashed the Red Death, a crimson fog that crept through the cobblestones. The air itself became poison. No wall could stop it, and no medicine could cure it. The doctors wore masks like birds to filter the death, but it was useless. Science failed, prayer failed. The beak was just a decoration for the grave. First came the fever, then the glowing marks. The sun's kiss. It burned the victims from the inside out. Graveyards were full. So the city squares became crematoriums. They burned the dead to save the living, but the smoke only spread the fear. It spared no one, not the peasant and not the prince of the church. He prayed for salvation, but he died alone on the cold floor. And below, the carriers multiplied. 1,000,000 teeth waiting in the dark. European medicine was dead, so the empire sent its own salvation. These are not doctors, they are shamans, walking the infected streets, shaking their rattles, performing the great cleansing to purify the city from the Red Death. But even the magic of the jungle could not save Rome. The eternal city burned. Smoke billowed from St. Peter's Basilica, turning the holy sunset into ash. And the pontiff? His crown lies in the dust, crushed under a sandal. The vicar of Christ is gone. The era of the sun priest has begun. The saints were cast down. In the house of God, the feathered serpent coiled around the pillars. The altar of Christ became the throne of Quetzalcoatl. The balcony doors opened. But the man who stepped out wore no white robes. He wore the feathers of the Quetzal. The new high priest of Europe has arrived. Look at the square, a sea of heads bowing down in silence. They gathered to see white smoke, but today the smoke is black. And with one strike, the old idols shattered. 2,000 years of history broken into 1,000,000 pieces. Walk through the halls of power. It is quiet now. The screaming has stopped. But the floors still remember the price of change. A river of red leading to the throne. The Colosseum stands tall, but the games have changed. The gladiators are gone. Now the ancient stone wears the colors of the jungle, a monument to a dead empire, dressed in the robes of the living one. And the church? It did not die. It surrendered. Look at him, half bishop, half shaman. He preaches from the Bible, but he sacrifices to the sun. The assimilation is absolute. Venice is no longer a city of romance. It is a farm. The Grand Canal is choked with chinampas, floating gardens growing corn to feed the occupying legions. Look at the skyline of Paris. The Eiffel Tower was never built. Instead, the obsidian monolith pierces the clouds, a black watchtower, ensuring that the City of Light remains in the shadow of the empire. And the Europeans? They are no longer conquerors, they are builders, hauling stones up the steps of new temples, sweating for gods that demand their labor as an offering. The old nobility? They were not killed, they were bought. The veins of this new world are made of iron and steam. The Sun Express carves through the landscape, binding the jungle to the ice with industrial brute force. Look at the cartography of 2025. There are no more borders to cross, only administrative zones of a single global monolith. To build the new, you must cremate the old. The libraries of Europe fuel the bonfires. Plato, Shakespeare, Newton, reduced to ash and forgotten memories. And in the classrooms, the erasure is complete. These children have never heard of the Renaissance. Their history begins and ends with the prophecy of the fifth sun. Above them, the sky belongs to the empire. Great obsidian behemoths float silently, casting long shadows over the subjects below. Watching, always watching. Behold the metropolis of the modern age, Tenochtitlan Prime, where ancient stone pyramids are wrapped in neon light, a digital jungle of concrete and electricity. The Jaguar warrior has evolved. Flesh is weak, but jade and silicon are eternal. They are no longer just men, they are lethal weapons of the digital age. And finally, the ultimate brand. A holographic sun god projected onto the clouds. The jungle was where it began, but it is not where it ends. The gold that once adorned the temples now coats the hull of the starships. Planet Earth, a conquered jewel spinning in the dark. One language, one emperor, one border, the atmosphere. Millions sleep in cryostasis, dreaming of cornfields and blood sacrifices while they travel through the cold silence of the void. He looks at the alien sky. He is far from home, but the mission remains the same, to feed the sun wherever it shines. And then the red planet, Mars, the war god's home, waiting to be tamed by the sun god. Look at the horizon. New Tenochtitlan rises from the red dust, a pyramid under a glass sky. The expansion is eternal. History changed, the world changed, but look into his eyes. The hunger never changed.